Shotgun.
Listen.
Back up to 2 jabs right here. That's it. Yeah. You short? You short?
So real quick, I'm gonna pause it right there. How do you feel from what you're saying so far? Since your guy, Zen, how you feel so far?
I don't think Mitch is his problem, bro. I mean, he got a God-given strength to him. He need to work on his defense, bro. He shouldn't be even working. He should be working on throwing that and then getting his hands back to his face. Like, he's just throwing punches and his hands is just low. Like, I feel like his guard low.
So I love that you pointed that out. That's something that, especially someone who's who appreciates and supports Deontay Wilder, a lot of people won't talk about. I like what I'm seeing. You know what I'm saying? He's not, necessarily sitting down too much on every punch like he used to when he worked with Mark Brennan. But obviously, if you guys ever watched Mark Brennan as a fighter when he was a fighter, he fought very similar to how Deontay Wilder fought, or actually vice versa. Deontay Wilder fought similar to Mark Brennan because Mark Brennan, obviously, his fighting style and what he taught him was how he knew how to fight. So they fought very similar. And so a lot of the way Mark Brennan would fight was similar to how Deontay was, where it's like, hey, if we're in there, we have the power. Let's get this guy out of here, right? He's made this change to Malik Scott. And obviously you see Malik Scott training him in the ways that he knows how to train. And how Malik Scott trained. Malik Scott was a guy who loved his footwork, loved to use his IQ, moving around the ring, use his jab, be fast, quick, not really sit down on his punches. You see what I'm saying? And so what I'm seeing from this Mittwork, also the Mittwork that I saw previous to the Tyson Fury fight, was like, okay, you're teaching him to box. Yes, a lot of people who are outside looking in, a lot of people who say Deontay Wilder didn't know how to box, they'll say, this is how you teach him to box, by doing these things. And it's like, no, boxing, you can't put boxing in a box, how ironic that is. It's like, you can look as if you're not doing the fundamental right things to the naked eye, but if you don't understand the reason why things are being set up, why the game plan is there, then my nigga, you have no credit, you have no merit in saying whether or not this is boxing or not. You're just going off the basis, well, I remember how Floyd trained. I remember how James Toney trained. I remember how Roy Jones Jr. trained. He's not training like him, so he's funneling me off. Look at his footwork, all this type of thing. Like whenever I hear a nigga go into detail like that on boxing, I'm like, okay, nigga, you literally are a nigga who just likes watching shit. Because at the end of the day, it's a sport. At the end of the day, it's a art. At the end of the day, you'll learn things fundamentally, but then when you're comfortable, you create your own way of utilizing it. So a lot of people will look at Deontay Wilder's style previous to Malik Scott and say, you are not a fundamentally sound fighter. But then if you go look at Mark Brennan and how he fought and how he won titles, and people will praise him back in the day, they'll say, man, he knows how to box. Wilder literally fought the same way as Brennan. He was just 6'7".
Bro, it's just like Andre Miller. They tell you he was bland. And then you look at a nigga like Jamal Crawford, he got all the shabazz to him. So if you looking at naked eye, you're going to be like, Jamal Crawford was way better than Andre Miller. But Andre Miller was cold, nigga. That nigga was getting 50 points, couldn't even shoot a 3. Leading the league in assists.
So it comes down to your understanding. And a lot of people don't understand it to that sense. A lot of people feel like if you know how to box, you have to have your hands here. You have to throw a good jab. You have to throw a good right hand. You got to, you know what I'm saying? You got to be here all the time. I'm like, no, that's not true. So basically, the reason why I'm agreeing with Zen is the fact that as much as I appreciate this Mittwork that's different than what he was previously doing, he looks faster. He's using the jab, the right hand's coming off quick, etc. He's not necessarily sitting fully down on his punches so he can get in and he can get out. I don't think that was ever his problem. I agree with you. I think if he was with his last trainer, Brennan, he would have been able to do the same things if he chose to do Mittwork that way. Once again, like you were saying, his problem is defense. It's always been defense. And the reason it's been defense, because if you look at Brennan, his losses was because he had no defense. And a lot of y'all might hate me for it, but you can go back and look at his fights. Brennan was a guy, I'm going here, I'm gonna throw my power, I'm gonna get you out of there. And if I don't get you out of there, well, shit, we slugging it. You know what I'm saying? So that's the basis of Wilder. So I'm like, if I was Malik Scott, my focus wouldn't be on like how you can get your hands off. Let's put you in a position where if someone is firing back at you, we need to make sure you're able to get up, you know what I'm saying? Slip, or block, catch, and then be able to angle and turn out. But at the same time, I understand how crazy that sounds when we're talking about a 6'7" heavyweight at 35, 36 years old. So it's like a double-edged sword, if that makes sense.
It's just all about what you're willing to do. Like, some people can just, like Dennis Rodman, right? He was like, I picked up the triangle offense in 20 minutes. I knew how to do it in 20 minutes versus other players that had to do the triangle offense. They ain't get it right away. They're like, this is tough. This is different. You know, even Carmelo, he like, this is not how I usually go get buckets. Like, I get buckets my own way. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's all about the person, right? So I'm like, I think Deontay Wilder could pick it up, but who is trying to tell this man what to do? That's his problem. Is Malik Scott trying to tell him, like, look, nigga, that big 6'9" gypsy whooped your ass twice, and I could blame part of me because I ain't trained your ass on no defense. We worried about all your offense. Your offense gonna be there. Shaq can dunk the ball any that time he won't, but is his defense there? I'm not saying Shaq was Shaq, but you get what I'm saying? Like, if his defense was flawed, that's what Shaq got to work on, not dunking the basketball.
No, but actually that's a perfect example because Shaq was so goddamn athletically gifted and so goddamn big. He took his prime for granted in that showcase when he got older because it was like, oh, you never had a real work ethic. So as soon as you start getting older, as soon as your metabolism slows down, that shit is showing in the game like this. Because when you don't feel like doing something, you don't know the mindset of being like, oh, I can get my ass up and get this shit taken care of to make sure I'm not getting extra pounds because I'm 32 now and nigga, I can't just eat this and have one workout and be good. That's not the case. So it's like when I look at Deontay Wilder, it's like it's kind of the same similarities, not in the sense of work ethic and things like that, but it's where what got me here is what worked. So now that I'm here, even though there's an illusion of I have a new trainer, as soon as he's in the ring with someone who's able to take that big punch and return, now what? Because that's Wilder's problem. Robert Helenius, no, I don't think he's going to be able to take a big punch and then be able to put pressure on Wilder. So I think he's okay. Luis Ortiz, no, I don't think that's the case. Andy Ruiz, no, I don't think that's the case.
I just think Wilder's problem with Fury is Fury was him